1985, after a Queen concert. Backstage, Freddie Mercury was taking off his costume. On stage, he'd been a king, in front of 70,000 people, full of energy, confident, but now he was silent, sitting in a corner, head down. Jim Hutton came over. "That was an amazing concert, Freddie." Freddie said, "Thank you." Silence. Jim asked, "Are you okay?" Freddie said, "I don't know. On stage, I'm someone else. This is the real me. Shy, lonely, scared." Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, because this is the story of a double life, the mask of the stage and the Freddie no one saw. But this was Freddie's real secret. The world saw him on stage, like a giant, powerful, confident. But the real Freddie was never like that. The real Freddie was a shy child from Zanzibar, named Farrokh Bulsara, someone nobody knew, someone nobody understood. And that feeling of being a stranger never went away, until he died. Farrokh Bulsara was born on September 5th, 1946, in Stone Town, Zanzibar. In a Parsi family, Parsis were Zoroastrians of Iranian origin. They were a minority. His father, Bomi Bulsara, was a clerk at the British High Court. His mother, Jer, was a housewife. It was a conservative family. There were rules, there were traditions. Farrokh was a quiet child, introverted, didn't talk much, but he loved music, played piano. At 7, he was sent to boarding school in India, St. Peter's School, near Bombay, far away, lonely. There, he got the nickname Freddie. His friends said, "Farrokh is too long. We'll call you Freddie." The first transformation had begun. Farrokh was disappearing. Freddie was being born. 1964, revolution in Zanzibar, political turmoil. The family immigrated to England, London. Freddie was 17. A new country, a new language, a new culture. It was difficult. Freddie was a stranger again. At school, on the street, everywhere. "Where are you from?" they'd ask. Freddie would say, "Zanzibar." "Where's that?" Freddie would explain. But nobody understood. Freddie was different. "I don't belong here," he'd think. "I don't belong anywhere." This feeling followed him his whole life. He went to Ealing Art College, studied graphic design. There were people doing music. Freddie wanted to make music too. He formed bands. Wreckage, Ibex, Sour Milk Sea. None of them worked out. But he didn't give up, because the stage changed him. On stage, he was someone else, powerful, brave. Before Queen, there was a question in Freddie's life. Who should he be, Farrokh or Freddie? A Zanzibari minority or a London artist? He couldn't resolve this duality, and because he couldn't resolve it, he became two people, one for the stage, one for reality. 1970. Freddie met Brian May and Roger Taylor. They had a band, Smile. Their bass player left. Freddie said, "Can I join?" Brian and Roger hesitated. "Are you experienced?" Freddie said, "Yes." "And we should change the band's name. Smile is stupid. We should be Queen." Brian said, "Queen? Why?" Freddie said, "Because it's like royalty, showy, powerful, different." They agreed. Queen was formed. The first concerts were hard. Small clubs, few audience members, no money. But when Freddie took the stage, everything changed. Brian May later said, Freddie was completely different on stage. In the studio, he was quiet and reserved. But the moment he stepped on stage, he transformed. It was incredible. Roger Taylor said there were two Freddies. One we knew, the other the world saw. 1973. First album Queen came out. It wasn't successful. Second album Queen 2 was better. But the real breakthrough came in 74. Killer Queen single. It was a hit. Made the top 10. Queen was famous. Money came. Concerts got bigger. Freddie got bigger. On stage, he started wearing costumes. Showy, colorful, leotards, sparkling jackets. I won't be ordinary, he said. I'll look like a king. October 1975. Bohemian Rhapsody was released. 6-minute song. Nobody had done anything like it. Radio station said, too long, we won't play it. Freddie said, you can't cut it, it'll be played as is. EMI hesitated, but they released it. It went to number 1, stayed at the top for 9 weeks, became the most iconic song in history, Freddie's masterpiece. But during the video shoot, Freddie was reserved. I'm not comfortable in front of the camera, he said. Brian said, but you're always comfortable on stage. Freddie said, stage is different. There, I wear a mask. The camera shows the truth. Right here, it became clear. Freddie wore a mask every day, every night. But with growing fame, the real Freddie retreated even more. People recognized him everywhere. Freddie, autograph. Freddie smiled. Signed. But inside, he was uncomfortable. They think I'm stage Freddie, but that's not me. The real me is different. But nobody wants to see the real me. The distance between the two Freddies grew every day, and this distance would destroy him. 1970. Freddie met Mary Austin at Kensington Market. Mary was 19. Freddie was 24. Freddie fell in love with her. You're different, Mary. Real, pure, Mary said. You're different too, Freddie. You're special. They got together. In 73, they moved into the same house. Freddie was happy. Mary loves me as I am. Not stage Freddie, the real me. Mary said, of course I love the real you. Who else would you be? But Mary didn't know about Freddie's internal war, that he was gay, and that he couldn't accept it. 1974. When Queen became successful, Freddie bought a house, showed Mary. This is our home. We'll be happy here. Mary said, I'm sure, Freddie. 1975. They got engaged. They were going to get married. But Freddie felt something inside. Something wrong. I love Mary. But there's something else. Something I can't accept. He was gay. He'd always known but wouldn't accept it. What will I tell my family? What will the world say? What about my career? In the 70s, being gay was a scandal. It ended careers. Freddie knew this. So he hid it. For years, 1976, Freddie told Mary, Mary, I need to talk to you. Mary said, what's wrong? Freddie said, I'm gay. Mary froze, was silent, then cried, why are you telling me now? We're engaged. Freddie said, I know, but I can't hide it anymore. You're my closest person. I can't lie to you. Mary said, do you love me? Freddie said, I love you, but not in that way. I'm sorry. The engagement ended, but the relationship didn't. Mary moved out but stayed close. Freddie said, you're my best friend, Mary. You always will be. He bought Mary another house nearby. They saw each other every day. Mary was the only constant thing in Freddie's life, the only real connection. After telling Mary he was gay, Freddie withdrew even more. He grew bigger on stage, but smaller in real life. The distance between the two Freddies became a chasm. Stage, Freddie was free and powerful. Real Freddie was imprisoned. In a prison he'd created himself. Identity prison. Society's prison. Fear's prison. Late 1970s and the 80s. Freddie's parties were legendary. In Munich, New York, London, the Black and White Ball Party in 78. 400 guests. Everyone wore black and white. Freddie wore red. I make the rules. Alcohol, drugs, cocaine, music, dancing, until dawn. The media wrote about Freddie's wild life. But what was the reality? Freddie was running away from loneliness, from his real self. Every party was an escape. Every night was forgetting. But morning came and reality returned. And reality hurt. Brian May said, Freddie was lonely even at parties. Silent in the noise, surrounded by people but isolated, like he was somewhere else. Roger Taylor said, Those parties weren't freedom, they were prison. Freddie had imprisoned himself because the real Freddie was still hidden. His sexuality wasn't public. In the 80s, being gay wasn't easy, especially if you were famous. The media was merciless. They'd write scandal. Careers would end. 1980, Freddie met Jim Hutton at a party. Jim was a handsome Irishman, a hairdresser. Freddie fell in love with him. "You're calm, Jim. Away from the drama. I love you." Jim said, "I love you too, Freddie, but I don't want to be a secret." Freddie said, "We have to be secret. The media will tear us apart." Jim said, "Okay, but one day we'll be free." Freddie said, "I hope so," but that day never came. Jim moved into Garden Lodge, Freddie's London mansion, but it wasn't announced publicly. "Jim is my assistant," Freddie would say. Early 1985. Queen was in crisis. The band's future was uncertain. But then Bob Geldof called. "Will you perform at Live Aid to help the famine in Ethiopia?" Freddie said, "How many minutes?" Geldof said, 20 minutes. "Every band gets 20 minutes." Freddie said, "Not much, but we'll do it." July 13th, 1985. Wembley Stadium. 72,000 people. 1.9 billion people watching on television. Queen took the stage. 6:41 p.m. Freddie in a white tank top, blue jeans, red belt. Simple, but effective. He took the microphone. Shouted, "I-O!" The crowd echoed, "I-O!" Freddie smiled, playing a game. The stadium was shaking. Freddie was in control. Bohemian Rhapsody started. Just the piano part. Radio Gaga. The crowd clapping hands. Hammer to Fall. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. We Will Rock You. Stadium on its feet. Final song, We Are the Champions. Freddie singing. The crowd singing. Everyone singing. 20 minutes ended. Queen left the stage. Applause. Screaming. History was made. Backstage. Freddie soaked in sweat. Tired. But happy. "That was perfect," he said. Brian said, "That was the best performance in history, Freddie." But a few hours later, Freddie went quiet. Sitting in a corner, alone. Stage, Freddie vanished. Real Freddie returned. Shy, scared, lonely. In that moment, he understood. The stage was temporary. The mask was temporary. But real Freddie was permanent. And real Freddie was unhappy. April 1987. Freddie went to the doctor. Routine checkup. Blood test. A week later, results came. The doctor said, "Freddie, I need to talk to you. You're HIV positive." Freddie froze. "What does that mean?" The doctor said, "AIDS virus. There's no cure. I'm sorry." Freddie said, "How much time do I have?" The doctor said, "We don't know. It varies, but probably a few years." Freddie said, "Don't tell anyone. This stays between us." The doctor said, "But Freddie." Freddie said, "No, nobody will know." That day, Freddie's life ended. Official death would be in 91, but real death began in 87. Freddie went home, told Jim. "Jim, I have AIDS." Jim cried. "No, this can't be real." Freddie said, "It's real, but it'll stay secret. Nobody will know." Jim said, "But your family? The band?" Freddie said, "No, not yet. I need to process this first." But he didn't process it, because processing meant accepting, and Freddie couldn't accept. In the following months, Freddie kept working in the studio. They recorded the Miracle album. It came out in 89. Freddie acted like he was fine, but he wasn't. He was losing weight, getting tired. Brian and Roger noticed. "Freddie, are you okay?" Freddie said, "I'm fine, just tired." "Did you see a doctor?" "I did. Everything's normal." He was lying. Every day a lie. Every day a mask. Late 1989, Freddie called a band meeting. "I need to tell you something." Brian, Roger, John waited. Freddie said, I have AIDS. I've known since 87. Silence. Shock. Roger cried. Brian froze. John lowered his head. Brian said, "Why didn't you tell us?" Freddie said, "I couldn't, but now you need to know, because I want to keep working in the studio without wasting time. I want to record. A lot of recording." Brian said, "We'll do everything, Freddie. Whatever you want." From that day on, Queen lived in the studio because Freddie only felt alive there. When he sang, he felt immortal, but when the song ended, reality returned. And reality was death. 1990 to 91, Freddie's final years. He lived at Garden Lodge, didn't go out. The illness progressed. His weight dropped from 175 pounds to 110. Lesions appeared on his face. He had trouble walking, but he kept working. Recorded the Innuendo album. It came out in 91. Freddie's final album, final work. Recording sessions were difficult. Freddie couldn't stand. He'd sing sitting down. Brian May said Freddie's final recordings were miraculous. He was so sick he could barely breathe. But when he came to the microphone, the voice was still perfect, like the illness didn't exist. Even in the final recordings, stage Freddie emerged. But now even the stage was weak. The mask was cracking. Now there was no difference between the two Freddies. Both were dying. Together, November 1991. Freddie was very bad. Couldn't get out of bed. Mary came every day. Jim was by his side. Queen members visited, but Freddie couldn't talk anymore. His eyes were open, but empty. Death was waiting. November 22nd. Newspapers had camped outside Garden Lodge. Dozens of cameras. Hundreds of reporters. Does Freddie Mercury have AIDS? Inside, Freddie was in bed, having trouble breathing. Mary sat next to him. "Freddie, you need to tell them now. The media won't stop." Freddie opened his eyes. "Okay, tell them." November 23rd afternoon. His manager, Jim Beach, came. "Read the statement." Freddie listened, nodded, took the pen. His hands trembled. He signed. A weak signature. It was Freddie Mercury's final signature. "We'll release it tonight," Freddie said. "Now I'm free." November 23rd, 8 p.m. The statement was released to the press. Freddie Mercury has AIDS. The world was shocked. BBC announced it on live broadcast. Fans cried. Outside Garden Lodge, candles were lit, but it was too late. November 24th, Sunday, Freddie's last day. In the afternoon, Mary, Jim, Bomi, Jer were by his side. Freddie opened his eyes, said, "Pee-pee." Jim tried to lift him, but he was heavy. They laid him back in bed. 6:30 p.m. His breathing slowed. Mary held his hand. "Freddie, I'm here. You're not alone." Freddie took a breath. Another, then stopped. 7 p.m. Freddie Mercury died, 45 years old. Peaceful, quiet, finally at peace. Mary kissed him. Goodbye, Freddie. Freddie Mercury was rock history's greatest frontman. Bohemian Rhapsody, We Are the Champions, Somebody to Love, Immortal Songs, 4-octave voice, Live Aid 1985. History's best 20 minutes. The world remembers him this way. Stage Freddie, powerful, confident, king. But who was the real Freddie? Shy, lonely, scared. The outsider child from Zanzibar, who had to hide his sexuality, who fought AIDS in secret. There were two Freddies. The world saw one, the other disappeared. Freddie left 50% of his estate to Mary Austin in his will. "She is my true wife," because Mary was the only person who knew the real Freddie. Freddie was cremated. Where are the ashes? Nobody knows. Mary kept the secret. Maybe that's for the best, because Freddie was always hidden, brilliant on stage, but in shadow, in reality, forever.